All right. In the past 2 months, we've had a lot happen as a nation. We've had a lot happen as individuals, as families, as all kinds of entities. We've had a lot happen. We've gone through a national election. We went through Thanksgiving. We've gone through Christmas, and now we're about to go through New Year's. And when we have lots of things like this, here's what can happen. We're spending lots of time with family members or friends, and maybe not even friends or family members, but maybe it's just acquaintances. Maybe you're going to, the Thanksgiving dinner or the Christmas dinner or the traditions or the parties, the staff parties, the office party, this or that. And sometimes when you bring all of these people together for a little while, people start to share their opinions about things. And, maybe at Christmas, Uncle Bob, good old Uncle Bob. By the way, if you're Uncle Bob, sorry, I just chose a name. Uncle Bob, who's got problems, brought the problems to Christmas with him. And then you've got Aunt Susie, who has some very strong political beliefs, has brought those to the dinner table as well. And then you have, the family meal. And I don't know if any of you have a family member like this, but every time you have a family gathering, they seem to be on some sort of new fad diet. And they want everybody to bend to whatever the new fad diet is. And I'm not talking about if you have an allergic reaction to food. But what I'm talking about is yesterday you decided you're a vegetarian. So today, everybody in your life, if they have brought meat in front of you, they are now the devil. I'm talking about stuff like this. Maybe you have had some family in your home. You've had people have traveled from in other places out of California or out of state, and your home has been a little cramped. Your bathroom usage has been a little shorter than normal. Everything is just squished together, and you love them. You love your family, but you're ready for them to leave. Any of you have some of that? No, don't raise your hand. They may be here still, right? Or perhaps you went shopping, and you were brave, and you went to the mall. Or you were even more brave and you went to Walmart on Christmas Eve. And you found that it's crowded. You found that people might be rude, that people might be insensitive, that somebody may have stolen the parking spot that you clearly had put your blinker on for. My question to you today is, have any of you been offended in the last 2 months? Raise your hand if you've been offended by somebody in the last 2 months. If you have not raised your hand, then we must check your pulse. Over the last few weeks, we've been in a series called Where is the Missing Piece? Where is the missing piece? The first week we talked about when we have peace, it doesn't mean that we have an absence of problems. What it means is we are leaning into the presence of God. We've talked about how peace also comes through trusting God in each and every situation, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and oh, please, will this day or season ever end? We've also talked about how everlasting peace, eternal peace, comes through Jesus. Where is the missing piece in life? Another key to having peace in life is this: it's learning to not be easily offended. Somebody just went, ooh. You sat up a little bit, ooh, I don't know if I want to be here today. As followers of Christ, we're called to rise above offense and pursue peace. That's what we're called to do. We're called to rise above it and pursue the peace that the Lord has for us. Point number one is this: you can't avoid offense, but choosing to live in it is up to you. You can't avoid offense, but choosing to live in it is up to you. Listen, we're all going to be offended by somebody someday. You may have already been offended. You may have been offended by, the outfit that I'm wearing today. I don't know. You may have all kinds of offenses. You are going to be offended in life, but choosing to live in it, that's up to you. Luke 17, verse 1 says it like this. Then he said to his disciples, it's impossible that no offenses should come, but woe to him through whom they do come. Now, people are going to say things. People are going to do things. People are going to fail to do things, and you're going to get hurt. Offense can happen anywhere. Offense could happen at your workplace. Offense could happen, on your drive to church. Offense could happen at the grocery store. It could happen at the restaurant. Offense could happen anywhere. It can happen online. Offense can happen in our homes. But what do we do with it? Do we choose to live in it, or do we choose to grow through it? Now, there's two types of offense. There is intentional offense. Intentional offense is somebody knows your buttons and on purpose is pushing every single one of those buttons. That would be intentional offense. They are trying to be rude to you. They're trying to hurt your feelings. They're going out of their way to make your life miserable. And then the other type of offense is unintentional offense. And this is where I think most of us, hopefully, we're at. It's that unintentional offense. Maybe you just weren't thinking of someone else's feelings or considering their thoughts or, what do they want to do? And so you just made some decisions and you were just thinking about yourself and it offended them. Offense can happen through anything. Some of you are offended if people choose to listen to other music that is not country. Some of you are offended by what some people choose to watch on TV. Some people are offended by how you raise your children. I will never forget the day I was in Target. This was with our first child. I think he was about 2. And up until this point, I had been very judgmental towards people who had children. And I thought, man, they're just such terrible parents. That their child would have a meltdown like that just must mean that they are awful. Until it happened to me. So maybe I am an awful parent. Where my son decided to throw a tantrum in the middle of the store. And nothing could console. Nothing could make it better. And you felt like everybody in the store is staring at you and judging you. Any parents ever been there before? Maybe people have been offended by what food you eat or don't eat. Oh man, you need to be eating more vegetables. No, you shouldn't eat meat at all. No, wait, you should be a vegan. Wait, you should be paleo. Wait, you should be keto. And can I just eat some food? Is water okay to drink now? I mean, what else is there? Some people choose to get offended because they like a different sports team than you. And by the way, my friend right over here is doing this right now at his shirt because he's wearing a Celtics shirt. And I am a Lakers fan. That's why I chose to look away. Because I'm offended by his clothing. Or if you are a Raiders fan, you have all sorts of things to be offended about right now. And I am a Raiders fan, so we are playing for first pick in the draft right now. So that's where we're at. Here's what happens with offense. Offense can steal our joy in life. We can carry such a heavy offense from others that it literally steals our joy. We can't even enjoy life. We're just so frustrated and annoyed. Offense can disrupt our relationships. It could disrupt your marriage. It could disrupt your relationship with your kids or coworkers, whatever it may be. Offense can be great. Offense can be small, but you've made it great. Offense can rob us of our peace. Now remember, the point was this: you can't avoid offense, but choosing to live in it is up to you. If you want peace in your life, then you have to learn to not live offended. Here's the good news. We don't have to be prisoners to offense. We don't have to let offense rule our lives and rule our thoughts and rule whatever we do, our actions, our choices. We don't have to let offense rule us. Point number 2 is this: we need to learn to overlook. We need to learn to overlook offense. Proverbs 19:11 says it this way: sensible people control their temper. They earn respect by overlooking wrongs. Let me read it again. Sensible people control their temper. They earn respect by overlooking wrongs. Now, here's what that word overlooking means. It means to pass over. To pass over. It means that when you are choosing to overlook, it doesn't mean that it didn't happen. I'm not asking you to say like the offense never happened. I'm not saying that you have to do that, but what I'm saying is you don't let the offense control you. You don't let the offense rule you. It's the sensible people control their temper. Now, here's where a lot of us can go wrong. We allow the offense to grow and fester and become huge and just overtake us. And then this temper comes out and then the words start flying and then we've offended other people around us. Any of you had somebody else take their offense from someone else out on you? Right? You've been offended at work. You've been offended at school. And so you go home, you're in a bad mood. And because now you're angry, you take it out on the people in your household. That happens. Don't let it control your temper. And then it says they earn respect by overlooking wrongs. Earn respect. That phrase means this: glory or honor. So they earn glory or honor by overlooking wrongs. Here's what happens a lot of times when people are offended. They want nothing more than to win an argument. But the problem is they're willing to sacrifice the relationship to win an argument. That's not good. Is being right more important than being in right relationship? Do we need to learn to overlook wrongs? You see, love chooses relationship over just trying to prove that you're right and they're wrong. Now it says a sensible person. That means a wise person controls their temper, and then they earn respect by overlooking wrongs. Now, do any of you remember having Play-Doh as children, or the children in the room? Do you have some Play-Doh at home? Right? And what you do when you have Play-Doh is you mold it, you shape it. Sometimes you have these little cutout things that you squish into the Play-Doh, right, to make that dinosaur shape or whatever shape you're going for. And it molds and it shapes this. Here's my question to you. Who molded and shaped how you deal with offense in your life? Who molded and shaped that area of your life? Was it mom or dad or grandma, grandpa? Was it your older brother or sister? Who shaped that area in your life? And does perhaps the shape need to change? Now, this scripture here, it says a sensible person. A sensible person, they know that they have been forgiven much. When you know that you have been forgiven much, when you did not deserve it, that shapes you. That molds you. That in turn changes how you deal with the offense of others. Because you realize that, hey, Jesus died on the cross for me. He forgave me of my sins. He died on the cross for them too. Look at all that he's forgiven me. I need to forgive like he forgives. Earn respect by overlooking wrongs. So how do we deal with offense? How do we work through offense? We're going to check out Romans chapter 12, starting verse 14. These next few verses, these are some of in my opinion, some of the hardest verses in the Bible. Not because the words are so difficult, not because it's written so grammatically difficult. Nope. It's just because of what it implies. How hard it is for us to actually live this out. Verse 14. Bless those who persecute you. Come on. Don't curse them? Well, mess that one up. Pray that God will bless them? Give me a break. Be happy with those who are happy and weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with each other. Don't be too proud to enjoy the company of ordinary people. And don't think you know it all. We're going to break this down into sections here. Verse 14, it talks about bless and pray, bless and pray. To bless somebody means to speak well of them. It means to wish the best blessings that you can upon them. This means you are not trashing their name or gossiping about them or slandering them. This means that you are building them up. So when somebody has offended you, are you going to pause and play, God, I pray blessings upon them? You get what I'm saying about why this is so hard? That we are to bless those who have wronged us, bless those who have offended us. And it goes on to say that we are to pray that God will bless them. Now, I'm just going to be real with you. And if you are going to be real back, I would appreciate that. How many of you have ever wished something bad upon someone? You may have even prayed something bad upon somebody. You may have prayed something like, God, I pray that they have hemorrhoids for the rest of their life. God, I pray that every time that they are on their phone and they are trying to type this word, that autocorrect says that it's the wrong word. Every single time that they try to type that word. God, every time they are starting to watch their favorite show, that it would start to buffer. Now, these are these small but annoying things, right? No, we're supposed to pray for God's best. We're supposed to pray for God's blessing upon their life. That God would bless their marriage. That God would bless their finances. That God would bless their relationships. That God would bless their household. It means calling on the favor of God. Now, verse 16 says, live in harmony with each other. If you live with anybody in your house, apartment, whatever it may be, how many of you know that it can be hard to live in harmony sometimes? Right? We've all got opinions. We've all got preferences. We all have like the weird thing that you do that annoys the other person in your household. We all have these things, but we are supposed to live in harmony. So how do we do this? The first way that we do this is by laying down our pride. And man, that's hard. Laying down our pride. Laying down our selfishness. Not thinking that we know it all. Because we need to remember we've all got a long way to go. We're all in process. It means being considerate of other people's feelings. And I know what a lot of us think. We go, well, I'll be considerate when they're considerate. Right, because that solves the world's problems, right? Somebody has to take the first step. Somebody has to be the one to go, all right, let's build a bridge here. When we live in harmony, it means that we are choosing to be selfless. Selfless. It means putting other people in front of yourself. I believe that much of the offense that the world has would be drastically less if we could all learn to not be selfish, to think of others first. The next point is this: we need to not repay evil with evil. Verse 17, never pay back evil with more evil. Do things in such a way that everyone can see that you are honorable. Do all that you can to live in peace with everyone. And I get it. Our nature wants us to, well, they did this to me. And so we want to repay them with more evil. It's so hard. It's so hard to not think like that. It's so hard to not do that. It's so hard to put others first. We are to love our enemies and treat those who have treated us badly. We're to treat them with respect. Treat them with honor. The scripture says in verse 18, it says, do all that you can to live in peace with everyone. So my question to you is, are you doing all that you can? And I know, well, I did this 3 weeks ago. Well, what did you do today? What did you do in the car ride today? Have you done all that you can to live in harmony with your brother? With your sister? I see parents staring at their children right now. Have you done all that you can to live in harmony with your spouse? Or with a coworker? Or with the person at the store who got your order wrong? Are you learning to live in harmony? Are you doing all that you can? We need to work on a couple of things. We need to learn to listen. We need to learn to listen to people, because often what happens is as we are listening, we stop listening and we start to think of our rebuttal. And so therefore we miss what is actually being said. Are you listening? And if you're not sure, are you asking for clarity? Well, what do you mean by that? Well, can you give me an example? Like what? Ask for clarity. Here's another one. This is a good one. We need to learn to assume the best. Can we practice that? Can we assume the best in others? Can we assume the best? Because we struggle because we typically assume the worst. Can we learn to give the benefit of the doubt? Well, you know what? Maybe they're having a hard day. Maybe their kid was sick all night. Maybe they didn't sleep a lot. Maybe something's going on that's been really heavy for them to carry. Because this doesn't normally seem how that person acts. So maybe I should just give them the benefit of the doubt. Or maybe I should ask a clarifying question like, hey, is everything okay? Like, this isn't normally how you would talk to me or speak to me, or here's what happens a lot of times in life. We judge ourselves by our intentions. This is what I intended to mean. And so we want other people to judge us that way. With that, right? Have you ever, that was not my intention. You ever heard that phrase? That was not my intention. I'm so sorry. But here's the flip side of that. We want people to judge us by our intention, but we often judge them just straight up from their action. Well, of course you meant to be rude. Well, of course you meant to be selfish. Well, of course you meant to say that. Well, of course you meant to steal the parking spot. Of course you meant to drink the last orange juice in the refrigerator and not tell anybody. Of course you didn't put new toilet paper on there even though there clearly was no toilet paper left. And I had to scream throughout the house for somebody to help our brother out. We need to learn to forgive others quickly. Can we be quick to forgive others? Remember earlier I talked about who has shaped how you deal with offense? A lot of people grew up in a household where maybe there was a parent or an authority figure that their way of dealing with offense was they beat you with it over and over and over and over and over again. And no matter how much you have apologized or expressed your sincere, deepest sorrow for what you have done, they hold it over you forever and ever and ever. There are some of us in this room that we just need to learn to forgive quickly and not hold on to it and not hold on to bitterness, but just to forgive quickly. I want you to imagine the impact on your relationships if you were harder to offend. What would that look like? What would the impact be if you're married on your marriage if all of a sudden you were harder to offend? Things didn't bother you as much. You didn't take every little thing as some major offense towards you. That might make your marriage better. What would that do to your relationship with your kids? Because oftentimes, parents, we can get in this thing, well, they're meaning to be that annoying when they're just kind of tapping and they're just doing what kids do. How could changing that in your life impact your relationships? I want you to imagine what it would be like, the freedom you would experience in life when you don't carry offense, when you choose to not live in it. Now, in the moment, something may happen that offends you, but are you choosing to live in it? Can you let it go? Can you continue to live? Imagine the witness that we would have to the world as believers if we were able to forgive quickly and not live in offense. Because the world is always watching. Our coworkers are watching. Our children are watching. Our spouses are watching. Our neighbors are watching. If we can learn to forgive, if we can learn to not live offended, what greater impact could we have with our faith and sharing our faith and saying, hey, if Jesus could forgive me of all of my sins, then for sure I could forgive this person. Because the world, they're always looking for reasons to knock us down. That's why we have to choose to live without offense. I believe that God wants peace for each and every single one of us. But in order to have that peace, we have to learn to let go of offense. You can't have peace if you're holding on for dear life to the offenses of others. I started off by saying you can't avoid offense, but choosing to live in it is up to you. So you can choose to cling to the offense and live in turmoil, or you can learn to relax, let it go, and live in peace. Now, I understand that some things take time. I understand that sometimes it may take like professional help to help you walk through something so that you are not in that offense still. I get it. I'm not saying this is a cookie cutter situation. But what I am telling you is that God wants you to live in peace and not live in offense. We need to look at God's grace. We need to look at God's patience. And we need to remember his mission. His mission was to save us all. That was the mission. Our mission as a church is to love God and to love people and to love people to God. And if we can't learn to let go of offense, we're going to really struggle loving people to God. So can we learn to let go of offense?